Welcome to 5 on the Go, the ultimate career development podcast, created for students learning to uncover their career paths. In this episode, learn about an introvert's journey from Hong Kong to Toronto as he uncovers cultural differences and discovers community and supporters, all while embracing his introversion to land a career opportunity at a career development networking event. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of 5 on the Go, where we have the opportunity to talk to folks from the University of Toronto. Usually it's always alumni, but today we're on a different track. We've got a current student of ours from the University of Toronto, Issac, and we're going to get to know a little bit more about Issac, his journey as an international student to Canada, what he's been doing here at UTM, how he found the opportunity at UTM. He's going to be talking about things he's learned along the way, including building his own community on campus. In the meantime, Issac has also found a fantastic career opportunity right before he's graduated, and we're excited to learn more about this in the next few moments. But before we do anything else, Issac, welcome to 5 on the Go. We're so happy for you to be here. Can you take a moment to tell us who you are?
First of all, thank you for having me here. My name's Issac, and I'm in my fourth year here in University of Toronto, Mississauga, and I'm doing a double major in computer science and CCIT.
All right, welcome. Now, Issac, having gotten to know you in the last little while, I know that you had to take a major step in changing from one country to the other. Can you talk to us about what that transition was like? How did it come about? Talk to us a little bit about where you've come from.
Sure. I guess I can start from where I'm born and raised.
Sure.
So I am born and raised in Hong Kong for 16 years until grade 10. I was still studying in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And I came to Canada, to Vancouver for grade 11 and 12.
Okay.
Had my high school there. And then because it was COVID during that time, so I stayed there for an extra year during the first year in U of T. And then I moved to, of course, Mississauga, like U of T, for my university, second, third, and fourth year. It was a really big change for me because I went to a public school in Hong Kong. They run a British system.
Okay.
It was something like elementary school 6 years, secondary school is another 6 years, and then they do a public exam, and then you go through the public exam and you get into university.
Right.
Here, not only is the entire structure is different, is the way they teach people are different. For example, back then we stay in the same classroom, teacher comes in, instead of like students going around different classrooms. So a lot have changed for me, and especially when in Asia the education system is more academically focused, while here is I wouldn't say more relaxed, but you have more opportunities in terms of get outside of school, experience different stuff. You can talk to the teachers or professors. They're more eager to talk to you about something outside of academics.
Right. Interesting. So you and I are almost on the reverse side of things.
Yeah.
So as I was growing up, at the age of 13, my family and I moved back to India, where I went to school there, did all my higher education, graduated from there, and started working. Now, for me, going there as a 13-year-old, having grown up in Canada, the cultural awareness was so stark. Talk to us about what you've learned and how you've had to adapt being in Hong Kong to life in Canada. What was that cultural awakening? Maybe it was culture shock, but can you talk to us about how to heighten your awareness?
So I guess I can split into from Hong Kong to Vancouver and even Vancouver to Toronto. It's two different transitions as well.
Wow.
So in Hong Kong to Vancouver, I would say back in Hong Kong, I'm more of an introverted person, and even right now, I've been talking to my Vancouver friends. For example, I've been actually got back to one of my friends back in grade 10, the early days when I just got back to Vancouver. We didn't actually talk to each other for a few years, and I went back to her, and she's like, you actually change a lot from like introverted to now you can actually hold a
You can
conversation.
hold the
And
conversation.
obviously, I'm lucky because in Hong Kong, not a lot of people are extremely fluent in English,
Right.
but I had the advantage of like going outside and do public speaking competitively.
Okay.
So I have more, I'm more comfortable like the confidence in speaking English.
Right.
English.
Right.
When I just came here, is really hard to make friends, especially when I was in grade 10, because everyone else has their own friend group already. So the friends that I've met in high school was from clubs, because back in Hong Kong I was in an IT team where they do all the backstage like sound equipments, the audio visuals equipments. So I went to high school and they have like similar things, so I joined there. A lot of my friends, or like my major friends, are expanded from there.
Okay.
So
Okay.
just from there, I guess you could say go join more clubs or communities to try to reach out. Eventually some extrovert will come in and you like start to expand your own community there, and you get more comfortable with talking with people more and more and more. Um, and if we to talk about Vancouver to Toronto, I would say Toronto is even more diverse than Vancouver. Vancouver,
Right.
my high school in Vancouver has a lot of Asians, and
Yeah.
here is even more diverse. You have Asian, you have people from Middle East, you have people
Yeah.
from South Asia, like,
Yes.
just people from everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's really important to kind of like go everywhere to kind of like touch base on different people and see where you're more comfortable with.
Okay.
Especially, it's also important, in my opinion, to kind of know people who are already adapted to the Canadian culture, so it's easier for you to go from there and then um, adapt to the entire Canadian culture. Especially in Toronto, is like a different thing as
I
well.
totally get that. And so so we're looking at two major transitions.
Yeah,
And I think from what I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong,
yeah,
but for you to adapt so quickly, because you did 2 years in Vancouver and you're now in your fourth year in
yeah,
Toronto, I think it was just like, connecting through that club that allowed you
yeah,
to create that social space for you to now start creating impact amongst
yeah,
people that you're
yeah.
with.
I guess I could also add on to the transition between Vancouver to Toronto. Um, well, obviously, the first year was COVID, so I stayed in Vancouver, so I really didn't get the chance to know a lot of people.
Yeah.
Everything was online. People
Yeah.
don't even talk in like Zoom.
Right.
But when it comes to my second year, I lived on residence,
Okay.
and I lived with a couple people, like three of them,
Yeah.
and we slowly had like, of course, we were forced to talk to each other because we lived together,
You
obviously.
had to.
Slowly, is you kind of formed a community where you, like one of my roommates have the same major as me, so we could do homeworks together. Um, and from there you will start to know more people who share the same interests, same major, same background. And then from there, one really big thing I got from having like friends in on campus or like creating a community around you is um, my friends will tell me different opportunity that I might be missing, and I'll tell them
Oh,
opportunity that they
right.
might be missing. So we're kind of like reminding each other. It's like a good phenomenon of one thing why I got my job offer right now is because my friends influences me, or like we influence each other to improve ourselves as well. So I feel like surrounding yourself with friends you're comfortable with and who are eager to learn more, like grow yourself, is very important.
So it's really interesting because you were in Vancouver
Hmm.
for a couple of years. You did high school. You're getting comfortable
Hmm.
with this new place that you're at, but you decided to come to University of Toronto, Miss Saga. Can you share with us and the listeners here how you ended up deciding come to University of Toronto?
Yeah. So applied. It was a pretty stressful process,
Right.
obviously, because it's hard to get into universities. And I'm gonna be honest with you, my grades are not the greatest. I was aiming for like computer science. The best is obviously Waterloo, University of Toronto, and UBC. I applied to all of them. Waterloo has a too high average for me. I just know I didn't get the chance. For University of Toronto, I actually have a friend whose friend went to UTM. I was like, Yo, why don't I go ask her some questions on
Right.
like how the university works? Back then, I didn't even know how the semester works. I thought it'll be like just 2 semesters like in high school, but instead it's like fall, winter, and summer
Summer,
in
yeah.
university.
Yeah.
One reason why UBC didn't accept me, so I was picking between University of Toronto and Alberta, and don't really know what else I applied for. But I also ranked UTM over like the Mississauga campus over St. George campus because my friend told me like the way she described to me is Mississauga campus is more about nature. People are more close together. It's more, I wouldn't say academically focused, but for myself, I'm more of a nature person.
Right.
Like even in Hong
Right.
Kong, I didn't live in the very urbanized.
Yeah.
Like I lived somewhere outside of the city.
Yeah.
So I was more comfortable here, and I looked at the images on Google, and I liked that a lot. And St. George is more of like a downtown
Yeah,
area,
of
and it's
course.
just middle of downtown. And I was
Yeah.
like,
It's a concrete jungle.
it's concrete jungle, right?
Yes.
And then I was like, I'm not that type of person who like to like the city that much. I want to stay
Understand.
there like 24/7. It's gonna stress me a lot. So I picked UTM over St. George, and yeah, I ended up in UTM. Pretty happy about it. I didn't have to think too much because I was only in Vancouver for 2, 3 years, so I
Right.
don't have a lot of stuff like rooted there.
Rude. Yeah.
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 Well, except for the fact that my brother's there, but it's okay. It's okay.
That's
So
awesome. So I think what I gathered from what you said, and I don't know if our listeners caught on to this, but you're an introverted person, as you said. However, you leaned on a friend's friend
yeah.
to guide you, give you some inside input to what it's like at UTM. Can you talk to us about like how important it is to have that kind of network? Like, I mean, you were leaning on
Yeah.
probably somebody you didn't even know to make that
Yes.
decision.
Yes.
So, how important is building that network?
So I'm gonna say is if I didn't, perhaps I didn't, if I didn't get her help with like what she described to me, what U of T looks like, I might not be here
Here
today.
right now,
Yeah.
right?
It's super important to know someone. Well, the friend of friend is she is also in the same year, like same grade as me, so she's
Yeah.
also applying
Yeah.
to University of Toronto. And I kept on asking her question because she seems to look like know more than me. And she's
Right.
like, actually, I'm getting all this information from a friend of hers, and she's like, why don't you talk to her like directly? I'm like,
Oh,
sure,
okay.
yeah. And
Okay.
she's happy to help, which I really appreciate. And so from there, I get to know how university works, some important dates, informations from there. Being introverted is hard. It's really about slowly getting more comfortable with talking
Yeah.
to people. Eventually, you will. In my case, I just slowly talk to more people, and yeah, you get more comfortable with it at one
Yeah.
point.
So how does one break that? Because that's one of the most difficult things. It's
Yeah.
you could be say that you're shy, it could be that you're introverted. What steps did you take to overcome those things? Because at times it almost feels like a ball and chain
Yeah.
that literally locks you to feel most comfortable sitting here. But yet you broke that, stepped up and found your community.
I guess that's a lot of yeah, I'm computer science major. A lot of computer science major people are more introverted. They don't really
Right.
like going out to talk to people, and I really understand that. Um, I would say it's really a more natural process to me. I'm not sure how I transition from that. Is it's more like really it's just your friends
Yeah.
try to like
Yeah.
get you more comfortable with
Yeah.
everything.
Have you ever failed in connecting with somebody, or did you
Oh
ever
yes,
feel like,
yes.
oh man, I made a mistake?
Yes, yes.
I can you talk to us about how you overcame that failure, even though like you're
Yeah.
here now, you're
So
4 years in.
guess I can fast forward to my third and fourth year, even second year summer. I actually tried my best to reach out. Like for example, Career Center. I would look for all the workshops
Right.
that are available out there, especially when it's come to networking events.
Right.
I will try to. It's very awkward when you like first go to your first networking event. You stand there and be like, "Do I talk to this professional here?" And he's surrounded by like 7 people. I'm like, "How do I slip in and start talking?"
Yeah.
It's hard. It's so hard for me. I just slip in, and you don't really know what to talk about while everybody else is asking the same question and be like, am I asking the same question? Am I being boring? Am I actually connecting with someone? Um, like eventually after networking events after one, two, three, it's more and more you slowly get the confidence. You slowly get
Right.
the grab the concept of what
Right.
people like professionals knows about what you can get out from them, how you can slowly form a strong connection with them, like a long-term one. Um, I can give like a failed example, I
Yeah,
guess.
let's if
So
you're comfortable with it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
sure.
A lot of times, like even right now, I'm not the most amazing person to know. Like, I'm not the most amazing one to ask. Oh, you have 100% chance of connecting with someone. No, like it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
You a failed one would be, for example, I go to a networking event and then maybe I add the professional's LinkedIn. They accepted me and I reached out to them and asked a question and be like, oh, it was nice meeting you at the networking event, and I was thinking maybe a question following up that they will leave you in red or not read your message forever, and it's just like one of the failed ones. Or another one, I actually again is a virtual one, and I also got the connection. I had one coffee talk, but I was so awkward back then. I didn't know
Right.
what question to ask,
Right.
and it didn't go the best. And yeah, it just didn't go anywhere else. It
Yeah,
just stopped
so
there.
let's talk about that virtual coffee chat.
Yeah.
If you were to do it all over again, what advice would you give to somebody? Or to yourself even? Like if you were to rewind back to that point, what
Yeah.
would you have done differently, you think?
What would have uh I was being too nervous. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I was a little bit being awkward, and I have like I because it's my first coffee talk, I list out all the questions that I want to ask, and I guess that was too unnatural as well.
Oh,
And
okay. It wasn't a natural
yeah, yeah,
conversation.
and
Gotcha, gotcha.
just be more natural, be more genuine.
Yeah.
I think really one like really important factor is get to know the person you're connecting with,
Right.
know a lot about them, like know what you get out from them.
Right.
If they're not the right person that you want to like reach out to or like connect to, you can just like it's always good to learn more things.
Yeah.
They're always kind of
Yeah.
connected.
Yeah.
For example, the one that I was talking to was a business analyst. It's not exactly what I'm interested in,
Yeah.
but she worked at an information security company.
Right.
So I could get a different angle from her side on what she likes about the industry. So it's like a different type of experience for me. It's not always necessarily about like I want to get a job from you, like
Yeah.
how this my desired job gonna look like from your end. Um, just maybe imagine her or like him as more as a friend, like get comfortable talking to her or him, and then yeah, move on from there. And if you want to do a follow up, sometimes you can be like, oh, we talked about something during the meeting last time, and I want to give you a quick update on
Yeah.
what my life
That's
looks
awesome.
like right now.
I feel like what I've learned from networking events, I feel the easiest way to disarm somebody at a large gathering, high volume event, you don't know anybody. One of the things I've asked people is, why did you come to this event? Like, what led you to this event? By
Right.
asking them that question, I feel it's almost an opportunity that allows them to talk. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm always picking up, trying to
Mm-hmm.
actively listen to what they're saying
Yeah.
so that I can ask a follow up question.
Mm-hmm.
And then in return, I'm now allowed to talk.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to talk about who I am, why I showed up, and maybe lead to a
Mm-hmm.
conversation that I want to direct.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips for folks at networking events? I mean, you've learned so many things. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering, is this an ideal time for you to give some advice to listeners about
Um.
how would you tackle a networking event now that you know how to do it?
Well, I'm not the perfect guy yet, but
Yeah, that's
I could give
fine.
a little bit of
Sure.
advice.
Sure.
So maybe two things. First one, don't aim for straight for I want a job, a referral from this
Right.
guy.
Right.
Always think about, oh, what can I learn from this guy? And the moment they realize that you're not here for advantage, then you just want to learn more about maybe him as the professional, what it's about. And the second thing is it's very important to make sure that the conversation go both ways instead of just you asking question about them. They're interested in you as well. Like eventually, if you have like they know enough about you, they're like, oh, I've been talking to this person. He's been telling me all like what he's doing, and I like this guy. And eventually, maybe, perhaps, he'll give you a referral, right? It's not a process where, oh, I'm going to show off everything I know and then he will give me a job. No, it doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
All right. So this leads us into me saying congratulations to you.
Yeah.
You have found a great career opportunity even before you graduated. So congratulations to you, Isaac, because I know
you.
it's taken a lot of, like you've said, mistakes, or
Yes.
you've learned to fail, and if you fail hard, you pick up, right? There's that resilience to bounce back and go ahead. And I love how you built a community
Yep.
of folks on campus who not only provide insight about events that are happening, or you've gone out of the way to take on different opportunities. Can you talk to us about the journey you just had
Sure.
in finding a brand new opportunity at one of the big four consulting firms, and how did that come about?
So, um, I I would love to say it started from. So I can talk about what the job is a technology risk consultant. It's
Okay.
something about technology,
Yeah.
and so I guess that could push back all the way to a course that I took is IT consulting,
Okay.
and that introduced me to consulting, obviously.
Yeah.
And during that year, there were also a networking event hosted by one of the clubs, I believe is Dema, and they invited a lot of different consultants from different Big Four firms, consulting firms,
Okay.
like PwC, Deloitte, and I talked to a lot of the professionals there, obviously. How would I put? And my professor for the IT consulting course was also there, and I was lucky that he was willing to introduce me to different like the professionals, which he was colleague with.
Okay.
But unfortunately,
Yeah.
they are really busy, so the networking there wasn't the most successful for me.
Right. Right.
So that was the first networking event that has to deal with consultings.
Okay.
The second one was during my fourth year, like early September, I believe.
Yeah.
It was a networking event with UI specifically, and I went there. There's a lot of tech consultants there,
Yeah.
and I went in there. I saw like there's opportunities for information security, but there's no information security sector tech consultants there. But it's okay. I still talk to a lot of tech consultants there, and it it became a really successful networking event for me because back right before the networking event was the summer, like this year's summer.
Yeah.
I did an internship.
Yeah.
And the internship gave me a lot of experience, especially because the company that I was working at, they are going through a tech transformation.
Oh, okay.
And then I was also working on some cybersecurity, a lot of like different. I was working on a few projects.
Right.
So I had something to talk about to the tech consultants. And instead of like the most generic questions, what do you guys look for in a resume? Or what do you look for in
Yeah.
a candidate?
Sure.
And they answer these questions every time they go to a networking
Right.
event. They don't.
Absolutely.
They're bored about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
instead, I really asked them about because they were responsible for tech transformation in UI. So I was like, what are some of your opinions on tech transformation? I explained how my old company, like the company I worked at, was struggling and they were like, they give me some insights, and I was like, what's life like in UI, or like, what are some of the things that you like, some things that you don't like? Like, it's become more of a natural conversation. They show that they're interested in talking to me as well. So that went on to be one of the greatest networking event that I went to. From there, I managed to connect with perhaps 5 to 7 professionals, like tech consultants there,
Okay.
which is quite a lot.
During
Yeah.
the same event.
Yeah, doing the same
Okay,
event.
wow.
I managed to talk to quite some people.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And same case, a lot. Well, 5 or like 4 or 5 of them does not respond to my follow-up message, but 2 or 3 of them did.
So you followed up with these
Yes,
5 to
yes.
7
Remember to
people on
follow up.
LinkedIn.
Yes.
Always
And within like
remember to
a
follow.
day, so they remember you.
Yeah.
And remember to make a good impression, like
Okay.
a strong impression during the networking
Yeah.
event too.
Yeah, of course.
From that, I was able to update them on. Maybe they didn't had a coffee talk with me, but I did update on them on how my application in EY is going. And one of them, which I want to give credit to, I believe when I texted them, oh, I just applied to this job position, and he was like, oh, let me go spread the words. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't ask for it too, and then he immediately after I saw a couple LinkedIn views, I was like, no way the HR or like some of his colleagues went on my LinkedIn and looked at it. I'm like, and then immediately did some like last minute justifications on LinkedIn
On
as
your
well.
LinkedIn profile,
yeah, so
you
to make it look even better.
Right.
I'm like, yeah. From that, there's multiple interview process, like there's different parts of it, right?
Right.
So immediately after I did a video interview, like it's just me talking. It's not
Yeah.
there isn't a interviewer. It's just me talking to the camera. And then I got through the application, which first I'm very happy because it means I got through the first step and it was the written assessment. I again went back to my connections, even the one that didn't reply to me. I was like, oh, I actually just gone through the application. I'm now in the written assessment part. And what do you have? Like, what opinions do you have? Or like, what are some practices that I can improve myself? Or like, what might come up?
Also,
Or,
you were asking for
yes.
coaching advice
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
middle of the interview process
Yeah.
to the person you
Yes,
connected.
yes.
Wow, brilliant.
Even if it was
Brilliant.
like simple answers from them, for example, just go on YouTube and search something, or like they would be like, oh, they might not have a lot of times, but you show that you're willing to connect with people, you're willing
Yeah.
to learn
Yeah.
more. So some of them are actually good advice. Some of them typed out an entire paragraph on how I could do better. I got through the written assessment as well, and I got the virtual interview and the in-person interview. It was back to back, and I was so happy as well. It was like the last part. I gotta get through this, and then I updated the connections that I had on LinkedIn, and he was like, "Oh, congratulations! And these are the things you can do as well."
Oh,
And then
wow. That's awesome.
actually, I went to the HR because it was the hiring process was a little bit confusing. It was virtual and in person, but then
Yeah.
they kind of changed it as well. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm a little bit confused about how it's gonna work. And then the HR is like, so it's gonna be a virtual and in person back to back, but you can come to our office for the virtual as well. And then she gave me the name of the interviewer. I was like,
Okay.
okay, I'm gonna not stalk them, but like
Research.
research
Researches of
on
it.
on my interviewer's LinkedIn profile. I
Right.
kind of looked into. This was a tip from my other friend. She got a job offer from Deloitte, and I came to her and be like, do you have like 30 minutes? I'm gonna ask you, like, you went to the in-person interview. How did that go? Like, she gave me a lot of insights or like her experience and how to answer questions. And one very important thing that she told, like advice that she gave me was prepare questions to ask the interviewer, because after they ask you questions, they want to know if you have questions for them as well. So I prepared not a lot, but because I have the names of the interviewer, I managed to go to one of them, like both of them, but for example, one of them is actually involved in the art council
Oh,
as well. So I was
yeah.
like, I know consulting, like being a consultant is very, very busy. So I was like, I'm gonna ask her how she balanced between what she's passionate about, like the art council, and being a consultant, like a full-time
That's a brilliant
my
question.
associate partner.
Yeah.
So from that, you build like you leave a really strong impression. They can tell that you did your research.
Right.
You know what to ask. You know when like it's more personal connection as well. And during the interview as well, I was giving some examples of so I'm not gonna talk about what questions there are
Yeah,
in the
no,
interview,
of course.
but then she really liked some of the ways that I was answering questions.
Yeah.
She was like, "Oh, no one else actually answered it that way," and I give credits to my professors in teaching
There
that
you
in
go.
class. And very important is prepare enough so you're confident walking in and show that you're comfortable and confident instead of like shaking nervous.
Yeah, yeah.
I know it's still, I'm still nervous, obviously. It's up in the EY tower. It's like, it's 40th floor there. It's so fancy. And of course I'm shaking. I'm scared. But try to get yourself very prepared. You know you're very confident in it and you walk in.
All right. Well, Isaac, once again, I just wanted to say congratulations
Thank you.
because that last answer, you revealed so much about what we do at the Career Center and preparing our students for interviews. You took all the right steps
Yeah.
to connect with individuals, follow up with them. You were so prepared at every angle using your network and community. I just want to say congratulations
Thank you.
once again. Thank you so much for being here on our podcast because all the other episodes we've been working with alumni to learn about what they've gained in their years since graduating. But as a current student, you've gained so much in such a short amount of time that you've been here.
Yes.
So congratulations once again. Thank you so
you.
much for being here.
Thank you for having me here again. Thank you.
All right.